babies in your diapers. Welcome to the Tiberius Show with your host, Tiberius Boy.
That's me, Tiberius. Today, we are going to talk about some very awesome stuff. We have a very cool video game to talk about, a great book about a kid with asthma, Marble on the School Report, and we got a totally awesome guest. The one, the only, the amazing Michael Snure. Mr. Snure is a criminal defense attorney.
Thank you for that introduction. It's nice to see you again.
Nice to see you again.
I've known you since you were just a little baby.
Really? Today, we are going to start off with the video of the week, and this is going to be a royal one.
And now it's time for the video game of the week.
Now it's time for the video game of the week. Today's video game is Kingdom New Lands. So this is a game on the Epic platform. It was made by Nell.io and was published by Raw Fury. These guys are responsible for games like Bad North, Sable, and Whispers of Machine. Most of them are side-scroller games with pixel graphics. This game is also available on the Nintendo Switch. Kingdom New Lands has simple but attractive graphics and even simpler controls. So you start off as a king or a queen with a crown on a horse, and you are in the middle of a dark forest. You have a guide with very little instructions showing how to pick up coins and move left or right and press down to spend coins. Oh, that is it. That is all the controls you need. No jumping, no shooting, just move left, move right, and press down to spend coins. You can push a direction arrow twice to attempt to gallop, but that is all the controls of the game. Now, I know it would seem to be boring to be so simple, but you'll learn to give gold to people and they become your subjects. You build tools for them like hammers for builders and bows for archers and a long pointy tool for farming. I learned it was important to always have a lot of archers because their aim is not that great. So every night you are attacked by bad guys that will want your gold and crown. You can build walls and towers that your archers will stand on and that can protect you. Of course, each night they spawn more and more bad guys. I think this game is cool because it is easy to play and you can build up the walls and buildings to defend your lands. I give Kingdom New Lands 9 out of 10 stars because it is one of those games that are easy to learn but hard to master. I can play over and over again and it is still fun and different. I just don't like the bad guys just tearing down my stuff. See David Smith Law.com.
You can call him at 407-801-2667.
Wait, you are not Chuck.
My dad can help when people get hurt. He loves to help.
If you are ever injured at work or in a car accident, you should call my friend Chuck.
You can call him at 407-801-2667.
The website again is cwsmithlaw.com.
Offices, Orlando.
Does it actually have that much W's?
Over 40 years, Lighthouse Central Florida has provided education, independent life skills, and job training to thousands of Central Floridians who live with blindness or any degree of vision loss. Whether it's picking out clothes in the morning or just moving around your community and serving Orange, Seminole, and Osceola counties. Contact Lighthouse Central Florida at 407-898-2483 or visit them online at lighthousecfl.org. And now it's time for the book of the week, Magical Monty. This book is written by Johanna Hurwitz. Let me read you the back of the book. In fact, Mike, would you like to do the honor?
Sure, I'd love to do it. Wow, that seems magical. It's called Magical Monty. The school year is almost over and Montgomery Gerald Morris, known to everyone as Monty, will soon be 7. He's now a big brother too, which makes him feel very grown up. Yet he has a little trouble when he tries to use the magic set his grandmother gave him. Would the card trick work if he were 8 years old? Whether involving his baby sister or in his library project, losing a sneaker while marching with his karate class in the parade, or learning that an exciting afternoon isn't always a good thing, Monty discovers that even everyday events can have an element of magic. In this fourth book about Monty, Johanna Hurwitz once again portrays the ups and downs of first grade life with humor and charm.
So first off, this is an AR book. It is a fourth grade book. It is worth 1 AR point. The author was a truth librarian and wrote a number of books for young readers. She wanted to write about a boy with asthma because she had never seen a book on the subject. This is the last book in the series. The story is about Monty. He is a normal shy boy with asthma. Asthma is a condition that makes it hard for you to breathe. So he has to keep inhaling with him at all times in case he has an attack and cannot breathe. Because of this, he has to stay away from dogs and not over-exercise himself. This is a chapter book. It has 6 chapters in it, and each one tells a story about Monty. We are just normal everyday things and sometimes have to work around the fact that he has asthma. This time, Monty gets to learn about being a big brother. He got a magic set from his grandmother, and because he's a good reader, he can learn all the steps. The best part is that he got to be in a parade with his karate friends. They walked 2 miles and it never bothered his asthma. Then he got to take a cool photo of himself reading when he was bored, and he got some great excitement when his sister's carriage ran away down the street, and, well, you have to read the book to find out what happens next. I give Magical Monty 10 out of 10 stars because I really liked that he learns to find ways to issues that come up because of his asthma. Monty does a lot of cool stuff and is learning to be a good big brother. I like seeing him solve problems and do stuff that older kids can do. I think all third graders should read this book.
The Tiberius Show would like to thank one of our awesome sponsors, SlutChannelUS.com. These guys are very, very cool. They bring 21st century surface drainage solutions to reality. They can do corporate and government work. These are the guys that make roads and bridges safe in the rain. You can see all about them at SlutChannelUS.com. That website again is SlutChannelUS.com. The Tiberius Show would like to thank one of our dedicated sponsors, Custom Designs Orlando. These guys are on Mills Avenue and do all sorts of stuff, ranging from photo ID badges, engraved signs, custom Braille ADA signs, vinyl lettering, to trophies and awards. They can ship products all over the United States. You can reach them at 407-898-0373.
And now it's time for our interview of an interesting person. Today's guest is going to be so much fun. Today we have the one, the only, the amazing Michael J. Snure. My dad has known Michael Snure for over 20 years, and he says he is a top criminal defense attorney. So first off, how are you enjoying being on the show?
I think it's great. You got a great setup. It's a lot of electronical equipment in here, a lot of whizzers and buzzers and colors and machines and a big screen, and you.
So, okay, I have to ask, what is a criminal defense attorney and what makes it different than a comp attorney?
Well, a criminal defense attorney defends people who are charged with crimes. Okay. A workers' compensation attorney is a lawyer that assists people who've been injured on the job, injured while they're at work. So that's the main difference. Now, apart from that, when you're in the criminal justice system, you run the risk of going to jail, paying a fine, being put on probation, being asked to do community service. When you're a workers' compensation client, you're asking your employer or the system that administers that to pay you money for an injury you got on the job.
Okay. Do you have to be a criminal to hire you?
No, but you have to be charged with a crime. So if someone says you broke the law, then you may need a lawyer who specializes in criminal defense to assist you.
Okay. So what is the best part about working as a criminal defense attorney?
Well, a couple things. One, you get to help people, usually. Sometimes even while you're trying to help them, you're not necessarily successful and something bad happens to them. It's also a way to extend a desire to be competitive because you always have an adversary. You have somebody on the other side a prosecutor, or they call them here a state attorney, who's your adversary, who teaches you how to have polite combat. You get to have a disagreement, and you get to do legal combat or confrontation in a polite way, because that's what our system demands.
So it's necessarily like Mortal Kombat, is like he's saying. Like Mortal Kombat. Fatality.
It's not like Mortal Kombat, but it is sometimes like combat.
So you help people when they are arrested. Does it matter if they are guilty or not guilty?
No. So I'm going to ask you a question, okay?
Okay.
Who needs the lawyer more? The innocent person who's been arrested and charged with a crime, or the person who did it who's been arrested and charged with a crime?
The innocent.
I think they both need it the same.
Oh.
Yeah?
I thought it was the innocent one.
It's the same, right? So that's why you don't have to be a criminal, and it doesn't matter if you did it or not. People who are actually innocent get charged with a crime sometimes. People who are only guilty of something minor get overcharged. Sometimes they get charged with something that's much more serious than what they actually did. So, if you're charged with a crime, whether you did something wrong or not, you need a lawyer.
So when you were a kid, what did you want to do when you grew up? Did you always know you were going to be a top criminal defense attorney?
No. I thought for sure when I got out of high school I was going to be a professional baseball player. Well, that didn't work out.
So I watch a show with my mom called Numbers. They use math to solve crimes with the FBI. Do you use math when you are defending your clients?
Well, there's a lot of math involved, but we use science. We use science a lot. So if there's blood that's been tested for alcohol or drugs or DNA, or we're looking at fingerprints or hair and fiber analysis, or any of those kinds of things, you have to understand a little bit about that science. Do you see what I mean? And then from the math part, when someone's charged with a serious crime, a felony, the way you calculate what their sentence could be if they got convicted, you use a math calculation.
Okay.
It uses points that are assigned for various things. You add them up, you multiply by a number, you divide them, and it gives you a number, and that becomes their presumptive sentence under the sentencing guidelines. So math is involved, but it's just addition, multiplication, and division.
No subtraction?
Yes, there is a subtraction component in it.
So you said one word from the show Numbers that I was just talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Analysis.
Analysis?
They always use that word. Like,
yes.
Like the favorite one was Charlie Epps. That's the one that's like the real big bad guy. He always uses the word analysis, and I really like it. Because necessarily, like, there's an analysis of how far iron is away from the hub that gets satisfactory. So.
Well, I know a couple people who have their PhDs in math, and at that level, math has a lot of applications in the real world to solve problems and to predict things. So, math, getting good at math is really important. Are you good at math?
I am.
Okay. Are you doing algebra yet?
Not yet.
No calculus?
No calculus.
No differential equations?
I think I'm gonna get that when I would say like 17 or 19.
Okay, good for you. That's sooner than most.
Okay, so what is the coolest case that you gotta work on?
Well, so cool to me means what was the most challenging, what did I learn the most doing, and I had a homicide case some years ago where there were 12 experts, and I was responsible for learning a little bit about the subject matter of those experts' testimony and cross-examining the witnesses against our client and direct examining the witnesses for our client. So it involved some toxicology, DNA, tool mark evidence, which is what they call the marks that a gun makes when it strikes the back of a bullet, some distance testing for firearms, some medical examiner testimony. It's very interesting.
So what is the first job you ever had?
Ever?
Ever.
We had a paper route. The newspaper, that piece of paper that has the news in it, like some people read it on the computer. Back when I was your age, a little older than you, I rode around on a bicycle with a big basket in front and shing through the papers in the yard.
Yay!
That's exactly right. But I had other jobs. I worked in a tire store, changing oil and tires, and they used to, back in the day, this doesn't happen anymore, but you used to have to lube cars, put grease in them to make them work better. And I even worked in a sandwich shop where I helped. Had like 110 different sandwiches, and you had to read the menu and put them together.
Wow.
You would have liked it.
Was there anything you learned from that job that helped you to be a better criminal defense attorney?
I'd say having a routine that said you got to get up, because if the Sunday morning paper had to be delivered by a certain time, you had to get up and get dressed and get on your bike and go get them, fold them, and that day we used to put a rubber band around them and throw them to the people's house. But it was a sense of discipline in doing that, getting up and on a regular routine, even when you didn't want to, which was most of the time.
My dad says if I am ever questioned by the police for something that happened wrong, I should say my attorney does not want me talking until he gets there. Is there a polite way to say that?
Yeah, usually if the police want to question you, they'll tell you what your Miranda rights are. You have a right to remain silent. Anything you say can be used against you. You have the right to have an attorney appointed if you want one, free of charge. And if questioning begins, it'll stop if you ask it to. So, but they tell you that, and then they say, do you want to talk to us? And you can say yes. Or you could say, I'd rather not talk to you. I'd like to have an attorney present. That's all there is to it. Remember when I said earlier, we have civilized combat. We engage in confrontation with the government in a civilized way. So we don't fist fight. We just have rights, and we assert them.
Like not like punch, punch, punk, kick.
Show me what you got. Give me a shot right there. Well, that's why we don't want to fight.
Okay. So if my listeners wanted to go being a top criminal defense attorney, what advice would you give them?
You have to get good grades. You have to study really hard for the LSAT, I think is what it is, to get into law school. And then they have practice exams for that. And then when you get out of law school to take the bar exam, they have practice courses and exams for that. Once you graduate from law school and pass the bar exam and get your first job, most people don't care what you did in college and in law school. They care what you did on the job. But it does require you to read. Read. You got to read a lot. So you have to like reading, and you have to be a good communicator. You have to be able to write your thoughts down, and you have to be able to talk.
Okay, so what is your favorite book?
You know, I don't remember having read a book now that I would say is my favorite book. The books I read now are about cooking and barbecuing and smoking meat. I'm interested in that.
Okay. Do you have a website or Facebook for my listeners that want to follow you?
I do have a website for my firm. It's Michael J. Snure, PA. It's found at Snure, PA. My last name at PA stands for Professional Association. What your listeners might like to know is that I'm married. I've been married for 37 years. I have 3 grown sons.
Really?
Who all played football, baseball, lacrosse. They all play golf. And
I'm ready to challenge them.
yeah, I think that would be good.
Like how many yards it can go.
But
She
you
got a drive shack.
should watch out for my youngest son. He probably couldn't even, he's so tall he couldn't even fit in this building, in this room.
What is that one question that you think I forgot to ask you?
I don't know. Maybe, do I think that law school was hard?
So, was law school very hard?
Very hard? No, it required, like I said earlier, a lot of reading. But when you read, you have to read and understand and be able to tell someone else what you read about. And then yet the tests are awful. We used to have, they can take them on computers now, but back then they had just these little books with blue covers, and all it was lined paper. And you just wrote and wrote and wrote until your fingers fell off to answer the test questions. So law school is a commitment. Yeah, you don't want to do that. Well, you can type now, so if you're a good typer, you can use a computer.
Thank you so much, Mike, for being my special guest. You can stick around for Math Corners.
I'll hang around as long as you want.
Okay.
Mid-State Fire has been providing top-quality fire equipment services for 3 generations to the Central Florida area. Don't wait for an emergency to repair. Call Mid-State Fire today at 407-246-8855. Get your fire extinguishers and emergency lighting for both your home and businesses by visiting www.midstatefire.com. That number again is 407-246-8855. The Tiberius Show would like to thank Boggy Creek Airboat Adventures for being one of our sponsors. I got to go on an airboat and saw a real gator. I even got to go to the gem mine and mine for some gems. We ate a steak dinner at the restaurant and even got some gator bites. If you want to have a blast with the entire family, I suggest you go to www.bcairboats.com right now. Get your tickets today. The website again is bcairboats.com. Oak Ridge Gun Range is a family-oriented shooting range that has been in business for over 30 years. They specialize in basic firearm training and offer numerous services such as consignments, gun trades, gunsmithing, and concealed weapon classes. I even got my training for gun safety at Oak Ridge Gun Range. Great customer service, and firearm safety is what they do best. So find out more at oakridgegunrange.com.
Get ready, it's time for the Bowling Score Report.
I got to go to Boardwalk Bowling, and I got a 109, an 84, and a 79. I get to play with Ellie, Ian, and Drew, and it was so much fun. I got to see Andrew and Izzy again, and I got to meet some new players. We did our exercises to get ready, and I had a good game. I dropped the ball once, so my mom decided to hand feed me my hot dog, so I did not touch it with my hands. I am not sure if it helped, but I did not drop the ball in. So, if you want to go bowling with me, be sure to join me at the new Summer League at Boardwalk Bowling Monday nights at 6:30 in the evening, bro.
Bro dog.
Oh!
You bowled a 109?
Uh-huh.
It's pretty
My high
sporty.
score is a 157.
157?
Are you good at bowling?
No. I bowled when I was younger.
Usually I bowl two-handed.
You get the two-handed swoosh?
Yeah.
What pound ball? How much does your ball weigh?
10 pounds.
You're throwing a 10-pound ball? That's pretty heavy.
Tiberius' favorite subject, it's Math Corners.
And now it's time for Math Corners. Thank you so much, Michael, for helping me with Math Corners. Today, we're going to talk about graphing lines. So I'm doing my IXL.com skills, and I found graphing lines. My dad says this is like making a picture of an equation. So if you remember a few weeks ago, when we talked about graphing points, and a month ago, we talked about what is a line. Now we're going to graph more than one point and draw a line between them. Oh, remember, lines go on forever on both directions. So sometimes you are given points and you have to graph the line. That is easy. First you plot both points and then you draw a line between them. Then you you look for patterns to be able to make an equation of what that line presents. So if line AB has points A, 3, 3, and B, 5, 5, then you draw the line and you would notice that it goes through 0, 0, and 4, 4, and so forth. So you can figure out easy that x equals y, and that is the line. Now sometimes you get the equation and you have to find the line, like x minus 2 equals y. Well, first you have to solve for x. So if you add 2 to both sides of the equation, you will get x equals y plus 2, and now you can plot some points. It is always easy to start with x equals 0, and that would make y equals 2, and when x equals 1, then y equals 3, and so forth. You can now plot the points and draw the line. Now this can get a lot harder with x equals y times 2, but that is for another show. So Mike, do you know all about how to graph and define lines?
I know something about it.
Really?
Sometimes we have to use it. Like I told you, there's math and science in the law. And when you try to figure out how much alcohol may have been in somebody's system, that's typically graphed on an x and y axis.
So
and it creates a curve, not a straight line.
So like how many drugs are in the body and how many alcohol is necessarily in their body.
Well, that, and it shows the rate at which it is absorbed and the rate at which it's eliminated.
Thank you so much, Mike, for your help with Math Club.
My pleasure.
And now it's time for Heart of a Lion. We at the Tiberius Show like living with the heart of a lion. Living with the heart of a lion stands for leadership, integrity, obedience, and nobility.
This week, we're going to talk about integrity. For me, I think integrity is doing what is right, even though no one else is looking. The qualities of integrity is honesty, truthfulness, and sincerity, and fairness. I work at practicing integrity when I play games and make sure to be fair. I also do my reading and math each day when no one else is looking, and I still do my Excel before getting on the computer for fun. Now sometimes I mess up, and that is why I try to remember to have integrity. So Mike, did you see or use integrity at all this week?
I don't remember any special incident this week, but I will tell you this. You're onto something here, Tiberius, because integrity, another word for integrity is honor or dignity, right? That is the only quality, it's the only gift you can give yourself. Integrity doesn't get given to you by somebody else. Nobody bestows it on you. It's something you give yourself. Let me make this suggestion to you. Sometimes doing the right thing is doing the hardest thing. Like telling somebody you made a mistake, right? And fixing it without being asked to fix it. But on this leadership that has to do with the lion, leadership, integrity, obedience, and nobility, all of the other things are things you can be taught or can be given to you, but not integrity. Only you can give that to yourself. Don't forget it.
We should always try and be a lion strong in everything we do. And that's our show, folks. I'll stick to one loudly, Michael J. Snure, for being my special guest this week. It has been so much fun talking with you today, and I hope to never need your services. But just in case I do, I remember to always say with all due respect, my tutor would not want me answering questions until he is here.
That's right. That's generally good advice. And thank you for having me. It's been very interesting. You're going to be a fine radio talk show host eventually, and I enjoyed being on your show.
And be sure to listen to us next week on the Tiberius Show. With your host, Tiberius. Boom!
The Tiberius Show is not filmed in front of a live studio audience. Executive producer Joseph Boy. Production editor Pierre Laguerre. Green Room manager Danny Boy. Broadcast associate James Smith. And your program host, Tiberius Boy. The Tiberius Show is copyright 2018.